All right. Thank you, Felicia, and welcome. Today we are going to be doing some wood burning. So you can do some wood burning for Father's Day. If you want to watch this class together and craft along with me, that would be awesome. But you can also come back to our YouTube channel and watch this class again. So if you enjoy it and you want to bring somebody else to kind of do it with you, that would be a great idea. So we do have some different supplies that we're going to be working with. We're going to be working with a basic wood burning tool. And then we are going to have some different unfinished wooden surfaces that we're going to be working with. And another thing is this class has a template, as Felicia said. So if you want to save that template and print it out later, you can. Or if you want to make up some of your own designs, you can. And if you're watching this later on YouTube, you can also find this PDF underneath the YouTube link as well. So today we'll be wood burning. But I also want to tell you that tomorrow I'll be teaching a class on something called punch needle. So if you've ever seen some of those videos where people are punching into fabric with yarn, I'm going to teach some of the basics of how to do that punch needle class tomorrow, which is Friday, May 31st at, I believe it's at 11 a.m. Central Time. So you can adjust that for whatever time zone you're in. But today we're focusing on wood burning. So let's go ahead and switch to the other camera. And I'm going to show you the materials that I'm using. One of the most important tools that I'm going to be using is going to be the wood burning tool. So lots of different versions of this, but this is a very basic unit. It comes with a little on-off switch, but it doesn't necessarily have any temperature control or temperature change. And then what's nice about this one too, Walnut Hollow sells it through Michael's, is it also comes with some other tips. So, for example, this is another tip that's kind of like a calligraphy sort of point. So it's really good for straight lines. It's really good to make thick lines or very thin lines. And this is called the universal point. They also have another point called the cone point. So the cone point is called that way because it's really like pencil lead at the end of this tip. And so it allows for very fine detail. And then there's a shading point as well, which is kind of a fun little different kind of shape too. And the shading point kind of works a lot like a brand where it ends up making this kind of stamp along the surface. So you can kind of see some of my wood burns with that particular, it's almost like a feather or like a scale. And you can do it really light or you can do it really dark, or you can drag it along and really cover and wood burn a lot of different space. So all of those tools come with this particular $15 version, but the tip that I'm going to be using the most is called the flow point. And the flow point that you can tell on the one I'm holding up is rounded. So it's a lot like the cone point, but it's more generalized. It has that rounded tip rather than a straight line or rather than a very, very fine point. And so this helps go over cracks and crevices that are going to be in some of your unfinished wood surfaces. And it really just kind of glides along. So I'm going to start with some practice wood, and there's lots of different kinds of scrap wood that you can grab at Michael's. A lot of times by the cash register, there's these nice packs of like several hearts, several circles, several squares that just make for really nice little pieces. And what's nice about these two is not only are they great practice wood pieces, but you could also kind of string them up together if you want to spell it like happy birthday and make kind of like a wooden rustic garland. I think that's a really fun option. Like I said, they have rectangles too, and ovals and different shapes. So here's another example of, I did like a be kind kind of thing. So you can picture that going into a classroom or maybe going into a kid's bedroom or something like that. And just attaching some twine and kind of making that into a nice garland, or going downwards with it and kind of having a nice hanging piece on a wall. So I'm going to be using these dollar frames, which are awesome. And they are just what they sound like. They're dollar. They're great. They're plywood. They come in lots of different sizes besides the heart. So they come in some different variations of this also. They're very easy to work with and very fun to work with. But the same skills that you're learning today can help you to make some larger plaques. So Michael sells a lot of these unfinished wooden plaques of various sizes. So if you get into this wood burning, you can find yourself some of that, or even some real wood slices. which make for really beautiful decorations too. So if you're going to give like some sort of plaque or memory or something to someone, you might want to check out those unfinished surfaces. But today we're going to be focusing on these frames. I'm going to start off with a little scrap piece of wood. These can be found, like I said, a lot of times near the cash register, but also they're found, Creatology, which is our kids brand, has a lot of really nice kind of plywood surfaces that are very easy to wood burn on as well. So if you haven't already, if you're playing along with me at home, I want you to go ahead and flip on the switch to make sure that your wood burner is starting to heat up. It'll probably take between 1 to 2 minutes for it to heat up properly. If you're using a wood burning tool that actually has a dial on it, you might want to start at a little bit of a lower temperature and try it out on your practice wood, and then continue to dial up to a higher temperature as we go. I have some pliers and I have this little ceramic dish that's holding all my tips. Right now, all of these are cool, but if we want to trade out tips, we're just going to use these pliers. Obviously, we're not going to touch it. And we're going to take those tips out and put it into something like a ceramic dish so that it doesn't burn any of the surface I'm working on. You'll also notice that I have my little wood burning stand kind of taped down on the side of my workstation. And that's so that it doesn't fall off the table and accidentally burn me, or it's a really nice way to kind of keep it in the place that you want it, to be able to keep returning it to that place. A lot of times what happens is with this extra cord that's attached to your tool, sometimes the cord starts to pull towards your legs and towards where you're sitting. And obviously we don't want this tool coming off of the table. So with all that being said, I have had my wood burning tool on for a bit, so it is definitely warming up, and I'm ready to show you some of these basic techniques with the tool. So the first technique, if you've never used it before, notice how I'm kind of holding it like I would hold a pencil. Anything that is beyond this plastic piece right here, anything that's metal is very, very hot. So don't even try to touch any of those pieces. Keep all of your hands and body parts to this side of the tool. And if you are a little sensitive to some of the heat coming up towards your fingers, you can always wear a heat resistant glove also. So that's a good idea if you want to really start getting into this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the wood burning tool to the wood, and I'm just simply going to make some dots. So you will see when I put the wood burning tool to the wood, a little bit of smoke will come out. I think you can see that even on camera. That's totally normal. That's going to happen. So I am in a pretty well ventilated room right now. I'd like to be outside, but as Felicia and I were talking about, our weather is not so great right now. So I have a big fan running that's trying to keep everything moving in here so I don't set off any alarms. But I'm just holding, and you'll start to notice this is just practice. So I really want you to kind of play around with the tool and see how it works. But if I hold it very short for a very short amount of time and not very, and I don't press very hard, I'll get that nice, really small dot. So I can do some purposeful, very small kind of light dots just by touching and moving quickly. Whereas if I hold it for a lot longer, you're going to get a darker color and you're going to get a larger circle. So try and see if you can control that by purposefully making larger ones and smaller ones to kind of get used to how this tool is burning. Different woods are going to burn differently too, so be careful with that. And the next technique I want you to try is a straight line. So if your piece of wood does have any kind of wood grain, you kind of want to go with the grain. So the wood grain of this one is going across, and I'm going to be drawing that straight line going across. And I'm going very, very slow and very, very steady to make this nice even line. And I'm just kind of letting the tool do its job and burning into that wood. And I'm going to show you some easy mistakes to make if I move fast. You're going to get a lot of jumps. So you'll notice that I have some dark spots and some spots that don't have anything at all. That's because I moved very, very quickly. So you really want to do slow and steady. And you sometimes might need to hold the cord in your other hand so that it doesn't pull, your tool doesn't keep getting pulled away from your piece. And I'm just going to go very slow and very steady and try and make a nice, smooth, even line as far as I can. And that's going to keep a nice, steady burn just by going very slow and very carefully. Again, if I go too fast, I'll get some of that jump. And here's another thing that often happens. If you're drawing the line and then you kind of hesitate for a little bit and then you keep drawing your line, the hesitation ends up showing up in those like dots. So you want to keep it moving. You want to go slow and steady, but you want to keep it moving so that you don't get a lot of those extra dots. Now, if you do get a lot of those extra dots on your first try, that's okay, because you can always go back and kind of try to match the thickness and match the color. But just know that once you go really dark, you're not going to be able to back that back up. But you can kind of work around it and make a new design that's maybe thicker and darker than what you might have started with. So we have some dots, we have some straight lines. Now I want you to try and do either some spirals or some like wiggle lines. So you can kind of practice going up and down, and you can practice seeing how it feels to glide across some of that wood grain that you might have. If your wood grain is very prominent from like an actual slice of wood, you might get some more of the jumps when you're trying to do that. So you just want to take it nice and easy. And you can try to do a circle. And since this is a scrap piece, you can work on both sides if you want to. See if you can do a nice, slow, steady circle. And then also, if you're interested in trying to be able to shade some things in, so on this travel frame I outlined the letters and then I was able to shade them in. So you have lots of options for shading in, but one would be what we call hatching or cross hatching. So I'm just drawing lines, and that's one way to fill in the circle. And if you have some more blank space, you can always go in the opposite diagonal to cross hatch that and kind of fill in that space. And I filled it in very dark, but I'm going to make myself another circle. And if you want to, you can just kind of lightly go over your space, and you'll soon see that this wood burning tool becomes a lot like a pencil. So if you've ever done any kind of drawing classes, you can really start working on some shading and some different shadows to really give you some very cool wood burned pieces. So at this point, I've done some good practicing and I'm ready to move on to my frame. I'm going to be using this heart-sized frame. So I'm unwrapping it, and it comes with a little wooden peg. So try not to lose that. I often find these rolling off my table. But the little wooden peg serves as the piece that you put into the frame for it to be able to stand up nicely. So you don't want to lose that. You might want to tape that down somewhere so that you don't forget about it. So these are these Make Market wooden frames. They're very nice, smooth wood and easy to work with. And we're going to transfer a design using graphite paper. So I'm using the template that I showed at the beginning of the class. You can use whatever you want to. You can use a coloring book. You can use stencils. So old school stencils are always fun to just kind of put some designs down and trace them. It's also nice to have like a set of letters. So if you have, if you want to monogram something or show something, then you can go ahead and stencil that onto your frame. I'm going to be using some graphite paper, and this graphite transfer paper is found next to where all the little bottles of paint are. So they're usually in like the craft paint section of Michael's. And this graphite paper is graphite, which is what obviously pencils are made out of. So we're going to use that in order to transfer a design on here. And then what's great about wood burning is that wood burning is basically just tracing. So you don't have to be a super great you don't have to be super great at drawing. You can just trace. So I'm going to cut out this Super Dad. I'm going to make a Super Dad frame, like the one that you saw in the picture for this class. I'm going to cut out that design, and you can cut it down as close or as far away as you want to. That part doesn't really matter, but just kind of make sure that you know how or where you want to position it. And then I'm going to cut a piece of graphite paper, and my graphite paper is not going to be much bigger than this design. So I'm just going to cut a smaller piece of graphite paper down. And there's two sides to your graphite paper. There is a much darker, shiny side, and then there's a duller gray side. So this shiny side with the very dark spaces, you'll see a hard on mine because I've already used this graphite paper. What's great is that you can use the same graphite paper over and over again, and it's still going to keep working for a long time. So I'm going to put this graphite paper shiny side down against my wooden frame, and I'm going to take my design and I'm going to put it on top. And then I'm going to use a little bit of masking tape to keep it in place. Let me peel off a little piece of masking tape. You might see it blowing a little bit because I do have my fan going in here. Keep that ventilation. So I'm just going to take a little bit of this masking tape and tape both the shiny side of the transfer paper down and also my design itself, making sure it's in the place I want it to be and that it's in the direction I want it to be. Just doing a little fine tuning. And then if this is written out and it's filled in, you don't need to fill in the whole entire thing. You really just need an outline. So I'm going to take a pencil, but it can be a pen or really anything. And I'm going to trace over the letters that say Super Dad. And on the template that I gave you a couple different Father's Day options, but then I also gave you a couple little travel icons too, because maybe you want to do this after you've done a nice trip. Hopefully you'll get to go on a summer vacation, even if it's just to your living room to watch some TV and relax. Take a picture, put it in this frame. So if you are wood burning with me right now in the live class, feel free to add any questions you want to into the chat, and I will be more than happy to answer whatever I can. And if anyone is able to make this project along with me, I'd love to see pictures. So if you don't mind sharing them, you can tag Learn with Michaels or use the hashtag Learn with Michaels, and then we can kind of see what you're doing. So these pictures I got from a template that we have the PDF for that's in the chat. If you're watching on YouTube later, you can find it underneath the video as well. But if you want to just find stencils, if you want to find coloring books, you can go to even like a Word document and get some clip art, some different things like that. If you don't like your own handwriting, just use a font and just print that out. And then I'm just transferring this using this graphite paper. So these are kind of just going over all of these little lines here. And I'm about to be able to pull up my graphite paper. And before I pull up my graphite paper all the way, I like to double check that I really did do a good transfer. So since this transfer seemed to work really well, I can go ahead and take it off. But if I accidentally forgot one of the letters, if you just kind of leave it hanging, then that's good for you to be able to put it right back into the right spot to finish up those letters. So now I have this awesome outline that I can work with. And I'm going to keep using the flow tip because I think the flow tip is really awesome. So I used a mechanical pencil, but really any kind of pressure, it's actually pressure more so than the pencil that's transferring it on, because the graphite that shows up here is on the graphite paper. So really it's just, you can use a pen, you can use anything that's kind of tracing and giving that pressure onto the wood. And that's how we're transferring that design. So if you don't have graphite paper, I also think stencils are awesome. So you can just do exactly what we just did with stencils. and you can have some nice script and some nice font. So I'm going to start with the words, and I'm not going to fill them in. I'm just going to do a nice line around the letters, kind of like an outline. And after I do that outline, I can kind of decide, do I want to fill them in, or am I happy with how they look? So this first go doesn't need to be perfection. So just go ahead and give yourself that basic outline of each one of the letters. And I love the smell of wood burning. It smells like campfire, which smells like fun and summer to me.
Hey,
So
Megan.
yeah, go
I'm not
ahead.
for sure. Did you see the comment about what did you use? But I was
The
I saw that.
mechanical pencil.
Yes, but I
Yeah.
know that you had a
I
um
did have a mechanical pencil, but you don't need a mechanical pencil because the graphite paper, you can use a ballpoint pen. It's really just about the pressure. It's not about the pencil itself.
right. The main
Yeah,
thing I was waiting for you to say about the graphite paper, so they know that you had the graphite paper
yeah,
under your paper in order for you to trace it.
exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Once I was teaching this class and I forgot to say what to do with the paper. And I saw people put the paper down on the frame and then start burning through the paper. I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. That's not what we're doing. So you're putting that graphite paper down in order to be able to transfer it, and then take the paper away before you start burning so that you don't actually burn things. We are wood burning. We are not burning down houses. So again, let me know if you have any other questions. And I'm doing the outline. I know, right? And if you're looking for different images and things like that too, or these different styles of handwriting or kind of little messages with different fonts, Canva is another great place to search for different things, for different holidays especially. And just find a couple of items that you like, and you can print them out and then use that transfer paper in order to make a really cool design. So each time I'm putting my wood burning tool to the wood, I am doing nice, slow, and steady lines. And if you start to have some bumps, or you start to have some places that are thicker or thinner than others, you can do that. So we have a great question in the chat about unpainted wood, and that is the most essential part, is that in order to be able to burn on it safely, it needs to be something unfinished. So if it's smooth and has like a lacquer on top of it, you cannot burn with that because you will end up getting a really toxic smell. If it already has paint on it, you can't burn on it. So you really want to use something that's a totally unfinished surface. We have a whole aisle at Michael's that has these different wood slices that are safe to burn on. What's cool is you can add paint to it, and you can probably see in this one that I'm holding up that shine. So after I finish burning, I painted it, and then I put a layer of kind of a lacquer or a sealant on it so that it could go outside or it could go somewhere nicely and not ever fade. So once I have that sealant on it, I'm definitely never going to touch it again with the wood burning tool because I don't want any of that released chemicals to go into the air. But this is another cool design that I did into a wood slice. And the one I was showing you before with kind of like a New York City kind of vibe, this was a stencil that I got at Michael's also. So I just traced the outline of the stencil, and then I went back in and I just kept doing lines and dots and lines and dots to fill in all the stencil pieces to get a really cool finish. So I see a question in the chat that says, how do you take the top off? And I'm not sure, I think you're referring to the tip. So I can show you that in this next part. I'm going to, just because I think it would be a good idea to be able to show you, I have this little ceramic dish that has my different lines in it. And I am going to take this point that's called the universal point, and it kind of looks like a calligraphy kind of pen if you've ever seen any of those before. And I'm definitely not going to touch it because it is very, very, very hot, but I'm going to use a pair of pliers and I'm going to twist because it just screws into the top here. I'm going to twist this tip off and then I'm going to twist the other tip in. And you don't necessarily need to unplug the tool and let it cool down as long as you're working safely with pliers. I might have screwed this one in very, very tight. I think I did. Ooh, give me a run for my money. Oh, there we go. So I'm screwing this one and putting that hot tip into the ceramic dish so that I don't burn any surfaces. And this isn't hot yet, so I could touch this, but I'm not going to because as soon as I start putting it in here, it's going to start conducting heat. And I'm just twisting, using my pliers to hold the metal pieces. I'm twisting this tip back into the top of the tool. And it does not take very long for this tip to be hot and ready to go, but I don't want to test it on my finished surface. So I'll go back to my scrap wood and make sure that the tool is working. So it's not quite heated up for me yet. So I'm going to wait just a little bit for it to heat. And it won't take very long. But you can already see the massive difference between the tip I was just using and this new tip. This new tip that's called the universal tip has, you don't have to. People who are following along with me, you do not have to change tips. Absolutely you don't. I'm just kind of doing it to be able to show people, but you're welcome to keep working on whatever your piece is. And you can see that this tip can make these really nice, sharp, straight lines. So if you wanted to kind of do like a checkerboard kind of top to it, so I'm going to go ahead and make a straight line. You don't have to do this part if you don't want to, because this is kind of just freehand. And I'm just tracing or pulling or creating a really solid line across the top using that nice fine edge. And then I'm going to go back and do another couple of straight lines, or as straight as I can get them. If you had a metal ruler, you could think about holding that, but just be careful if it conducts heat. I would definitely not use a plastic ruler. But this is another thing you could do with the transfer paper if you don't trust yourself to make your own lines.
Hey, Megan, what you think about a wooden ruler that has that metal piece?
Yes,
That
I
would probably
think
be better.
that is like ideal for sure. Good call. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to make some lines going this way to kind of make myself almost like a little checkerboard sort of pattern. And you can decide how deep you want to go into this project. If you want to spend a lot of time and go back and fill all that in, or if you just want to leave it with some of those open lines and some of those open spaces, that's okay too. And what I love about me not really measuring and not really doing anything is that it's not going to be perfect. And I actually like that too, because if I wanted a perfect picture frame to give to someone, I would buy one, you know. But this one is one that I took the time to make for someone else. So it's an even more special kind of present. This is kind of mesmerizing me. I like it. It's very relaxing. And I do love the smell that goes along with wood burning. Makes me feel like I'm doing something rugged. And I think I am going to go back after I do some of these checkerboard kind of pattern. And you can decide to take up as much or as little space with the checkerboard as you want to. You could cover the whole entire space if you wanted to, But I'm going to go back to my original design and I'm going to switch out my tip one more time. So I see in the chat a question that says, besides practicing, can you go over what tips create the best lines and when to use them? Absolutely, that is a great question. So this tip right now, and all of these tips I'm showing you come with the basic tool. It's about $15 and it's really worth it. It's a great hobby to get into for not a lot of money. So with this tool that I have right here, it is really great for making very straight lines like I've been showing you. It's also really good for making very thick lines. So I've been turning it to be along that line, but if I turn it perpendicular 90 degrees, I can make a much thicker line going across. Ooh, that pulled up some of my wood. So this same tool can make these really thin lines, or if I turn it to use that thicker side of it, I can pull it across and cover a lot of space and make a lot thicker lines. Also, if you've ever done any kind of like calligraphy lettering, you can kind of use those same techniques of just keeping this at a 45-degree angle. It's not that easy, but it is possible to kind of use this tip in order to do some calligraphy style lettering. And then another tip is going to be the shading tip. So I think that one's fun, and I'm gonna give you a show of that one right now. And I'm gonna twist these in and out, and I'm making sure to put all the hot pieces into the ceramic dish so that they don't accidentally burn any of the surfaces I'm working on. And I've been using the same tool for a very long time, so it's a good value for sure. And I'm twisting this tip into the top, and this is our shading point. So our shading point has kind of like a leaf sort of pattern to it, and you can use that leaf-like pattern on purpose to kind of make what could even look like petals. So you could put them together in order to make kind of like flower or starburst kind of situations. You could make raindrops, you could make feathers or scales if you're doing some animals. So you can use it as you would use kind of like a branding, where I'm just kind of like stamping it down and letting it do its job. And I do kind of want to rotate it around if I want to get the full body of the stamp itself. But you can also kind of just use it to kind of do some light shading by just dragging it across your wooden surface. So you can get a nice kind of like different color. So if you want to do some lighter colors and some darker colors, you can use this tool to kind of help you shade in some big spaces. Because if you're shading in with a smaller tool, it's pretty much guaranteed to be pretty dark. But this shading tip really lets you have a lighter shading surface rather than that dark fill-in that I've been doing. It's just a little tricky to fill in with that feather-like shape. So there are also things that Walnut Hollow sells that can twist into these that are called hot stamps. So they actually have those letters, and you can put those letters one at a time and actually stamp them. You can, it says on the back of the tool that you can use this on leather also. So you can do some leather stamping using the same exact tool that we're using for wood burning. And then I'm going to switch one last time to the cone tip. And the cone tip is the most precise of all my tips because it has a very sharp, very fine point at the end. So I'm just twisting this back in, trying to keep it straight while I'm doing it. You might see I'm twisting with my left hand with this tool and keeping the tip straight with my pliers. I'm going to untwist my wire so it's not so wonky. And I'm using my test to make sure that I know when it's hot enough to go rather than testing on my piece that I'm working with. So another question in the chat asks if you have leftover graphite on the wood, what's best to remove it? Since it is graphite, you can use like an art gum eraser, and an eraser should be able to erase that graphite. I sometimes have a hard time getting rid of some of my graphite. So another method that I often use is sandpaper. So really fine sandpaper to just kind of basically take off that top little bit that has the graphite on it. So yeah, you might see a couple of graphite smudges if you had too much pressure with your fingers and things like that. So you can either try to use an eraser to erase it, or you can use a little bit of sandpaper to get back and do that too. So here is our cone tip, and you will see how very, very fine this fine point tool can go. So if I am doing something, some kind of outline or some kind of writing that I need to be really precise with, I would definitely use this cone tip. So that cone tip is a very different thickness than the flow tip that I've been using. So this is just to compare, this is the flow tip, and I'm going to go in between the flow tip and show you that cone tip. So that's a big difference. All right, back to my final design. I'm going to change out my tip to my flow tip to finish off. And I'm going to keep going back in, and I'm going to add some color to the super dad words. And if you want to, you could add a checkerboard or some more design to the bottom too. But I'm going to keep going with this, and please just jump in and ask questions in the chat as you have them, and I'll be happy to keep answering those. So I hope that you're enjoying this dive into wood burning today. So is it okay to have 2 heating tools for larger projects? Absolutely, you can. So if you don't want to switch out tips, there are also wood burning tools that come with tips that plug in rather than the screw top that I have right here. There are also wood burning tips that are wire tips instead of the metal tips. And so they can do much different types of designs than the one that I have here. So I'm using my test wood to make sure that I'm ready to go again. And it looks like my tip is nice and hot, and I'm going to start filling in the word dad. And I think I'm going to be filling in by doing some lines, but you could also fill in by doing some dots. So I'm going to keep filling in the space by kind of making the same line over and over again next to each other. But feel free to try other techniques to fill in the space too, including just doing a whole lot of dots and just keep going with the dots in order to fill up the whole entire space. I like the way it kind of creates some grooves as I'm burning. Makes for a really fun texture, I think. So I love wood burning because really, if you can color or use a pencil or trace something, you can end up becoming really good at wood burning. And if you have extra skill of being able to draw, you can add in some of those same techniques that you would use in your drawings of how you do your shading and how you do different colors with a pencil drawing. And all of that kind of applies with wood burning as well. And so you can turn out some very interesting projects with a couple of those techniques. I had a friend who did a wood burning piece that was a cow, and it was like very, very realistic and very amazing. So drawing is not really my skill set, but I can color and I can trace, so I can definitely wood burn. And I already like the difference between the top lettering and the bottom lettering with that little bit of extra shading. So around Easter time, we had a wood burning class where we were wood burning onto wooden eggs. So any of those unfinished surfaces are always great. And I love around Christmas time to do some wood burning on some wood slice ornaments. I think those make for really nice gifts for people and just nice memories for you to make with people. One year in my family's garage, we set up about 5 different wood burning tools, and a bunch of different people were wood burning little gift tags and ornaments kind of at the same time as like a little activity to do at a party. So that's a fun way to kind of involve other people too. And because these tools are not very expensive, it's nice to get a bunch of them and kind of do it together. So on this one, I'm gonna not do on my super. I'm not gonna fill in all of the space. I'm just gonna kind of do some of the lines and leave some of the wood to show through, just to be a little bit different. So I'm kind of doing some wilder lines, not straight. And I like how that kind of gives a different look to it. Yeah, if you know someone who is graduating or moving on or doing anything, this is a really nice tool to kind of give as a gift. So I see Miriam talking about she received it as a gift and now you know exactly what to do with it. And you'll have a never-ending supply of projects to do once you get it out and start playing around with it. There we go. Now I could keep going, and I might later on today if I want to. And you can keep going. You can fill in the checkerboard. You can do another layer of checkerboard down here. There's lots of different things that you can do to complete this. Let me show you this frame again. It's another one of the options with the heart being in the center rather than off to the side. And so I took some of those little suitcases that are on the PDF that I gave you as well, kind of made some of those different little suitcases. And if you don't have, if you don't love your handwriting, writing travel, you can always kind of print out another word that says travel in whatever font you want to kind of work with that. Or if you want to do one that you have some maybe outdoorsy kind of people that you want to put a frame with some hikers, kind of make a little trail, make some marks to show that too. I think that would be a really fun gift. And sometimes I just take a frame and just go for it freestyle. So this is an example of me just drawing a whole bunch of lines and continuing to add more and more and more and more lines until I fill up the whole entire space. So that's a fun idea too. So I think that we are at a good stopping place for now. I'm going to keep working on my Super Dad frame, and I am going to post a picture of this on my own personal Instagram, which is 4M Coleman, if you want to take a look and see my finished project later. And I hope that some of you who have been able to make projects today can share with us too at Learn with Michaels on Instagram, or use our hashtag so that we can find your beautiful pieces of art and we can share them with everyone. So thanks for wood burning with me today. I hope to see you again real soon. Bye.